One-arm overhead lifts are awesome for bodybuilding, strength, and injury prevention. Since I've started doing them, I've noticed visible increases to my shoulders, specifically the side delt, which gets worked a lot more when you're actually supporting and stabilizing weight overhead compared to the front delt, which tends to be more activated when you're actually pressing the weight overhead. I've noticed grip benefits. I feel like my hands are bigger, but they're certainly stronger, as my forearms as well. A lot of people think of grip as being just something that comes into play with pulling exercises, but supporting a heavy bar overhead, especially with just one hand, really works the stabilization there and is a unique grip exercise that I think in some ways is more taxing than the pulling. And additionally, I found that my shoulders are a lot healthier. You can feel your rotator cuffs working. You'll even get sore in them in a good way. And I've noticed benefits on a lot of movements that I had trouble with before after specifically doing Turkish get-ups. I strongly recommend anybody start incorporating these into your routine. And especially if you're a natural lifter, you're going to want to do these. So one training challenge that comes in with one-hand overhead lifts, with anything, but especially with these, is that you have heavy demands on 3 different systems that like to be trained differently. You have heavy demands on your skill and technique, on your muscles, and also on your tendons. Now, the first and last 2 really like to be trained differently, so that's what we have to work around. So, you're obviously any skill lift, any technical lift benefits a lot from high frequency, because obviously the more practice you get, the better you're going to get at the technical elements of the lift. Now on the flip side, with tendon strength, your tendons like to be trained very hard but very infrequently. They need a lot of time to recover. And of course your muscles are somewhere in between, wanting to be, taxed fully and then given some time to recover. So what I do to kind of balance those demands is when I'm starting a new lift, especially a one-arm overhead lift, because it really comes into play a lot here, I like to do kind of a blitz phase where I just train that lift very often. Every training session I try to get at least some practice in. And you may not necessarily be making progress in terms of weight here because you may not be recovering fully. That's fine, you're just trying to get a lot of practice in. After that phase, which may last, a couple weeks or something like that, give it a nice little break, maybe a month or so, to let all your tendons and everything fully recover. But you'll still have the skill when you get back to it. So when you get back into it, then I like to start focusing on the tendons. Now to do that, I just try to push the weight really hard, just find ways to expose myself to really heavy weights like the 2-arm launch, 1-arm catch jerk that you're seeing. That's really good for exposing the wrist to really heavy weight. That's what I'm doing right now. And when training for tendon strength, you're going to want to use very long recovery periods. I find 3 weeks works really well for me. That lets my tendons fully recover. Anything less than that, and I find my performance suffers. So you definitely want to take long rest periods during this phase. Then when you feel like you've gotten both your skill up and your tendons are acclimated enough to handle, good weights for serious training, then you can train more normally, like say once a week. And that's how you're going to get your most muscular benefits. Now, obviously, you can apply this to any sort of lift. It doesn't have to just be for one-arm overhead lifts, but with the combination of high technical demands and high tendon strength demands, kind of breaking it up like this, I think, is more useful than with some lifts that are more, that are simpler or maybe not as tendon strength oriented. But either way, try it out for yourself. I hope it works for you, and thanks for watching.